Hello, this is Darice. Welcome to moonlifeastro if you're new. Welcome back if you're returning. Today, gorgeous folks, we're going to be talking about the lunar cycle for this upcoming week, September 24th through October 1st. We're also going to get into some of the astrological transits that are happening in the background as well. What first starts at the beginning of this week is we have a waxing crescent moon. This is from September 24th until September 28th. And this energy is really great for building clarity, nurturing your ideas, basically taking the next intentional steps, even if it's a small step towards a bigger goal. This is fantastic energy for outlining ideas, mapping out strategies, and just sort of getting into the nitty gritty, the everyday details of things. We've just finished the new moon, and now we're building towards the next full moon. And this is the first part of that phase, the waxing crescent. From September 29th through October 1st, we're going to have the first quarter moon. So this is a great time to begin taking commitment or looking at ways to navigate resistance. There may be some friction during this time. But you can use it as fuel for getting your projects done. You know, friction is how we get things going, how we get things moving, one business action, maybe you could just make one bold move, like a particular pitch maybe that you've been sitting on. You can go ahead and set the appointment for that, for example. Maybe you want to do a price shift, or just maybe have a difficult conversation. Those days could be a good day to put that sort of thing on the schedule. And then just to talk about the astrological energy that's also happening during this week, we have both the Sun and Mercury in Libra. The Sun just entered Libra at the equinox on September 22nd. So it's a new season, it's a new beginning. Libra is about balance and harmony. So Libra season, which is from now until October 22nd, is a great time to look at where you're out of balance, what needs to shift, what needs to be let go, what do you need to bring more into. Where do you need more balance or harmony? Sometimes I prefer harmony over balance because I don't really believe we can have true balance. I think that's a bit unrealistic sometimes to always be shooting for that. But we can have harmony, you know, where things ebb and flow in a certain way. And I feel like Libra season is a great time to focus on that, to be reminded of that. You know, where do you need your energy to either be intensified, or where does your energy need to be pulled back? You can look at this in any area of your life, not just your business, you know, maybe your health, your eating routines. Are you spending enough time with, you know, certain loved ones? Are you not spending enough time? Libra season is a great time to ask those types of questions. In terms of your business, you could look at your content calendar. Is that balanced? Is that speaking what you really want to say? I've been looking at that for myself, both in my YouTube channel, my newsletter, my Substack. And is your voice, is it aligned with what you really want to be putting out there? Is your mission, is your purpose really being reflected in your actions and in your words? We still have Venus in Virgo. That was from September 19th until October 13th. So this is a great energy to use for paying attention to the little things. What details need to be tweaked or refined, either in your systems or processes. Virgo loves to update a process, update a system. It's great for that kind of energy. For me, I've been looking at different ways to do my thumbnails. If you're a regular to my YouTube channel, you've noticed I've been doing different things, playing around with it, and I still haven't perfected it. I probably never will perfect it, but it is something I'm going to continue to strive towards. And that is the temptation, though, with Virgo. It does bring out that desire to be perfect. And so it can lead to being overly critical of our actions, ourselves, what we're doing, what we're not doing. So be mindful of that. And I was listening to another astrologer who I really love, Christopher Renstrom on Astrology Hub. He was saying, when it comes to Virgo, think of perfect as a verb. It's always a process of becoming better. And I think that's a great attitude to apply towards anything where you're applying Venus and Virgo, where you're looking at aesthetics, how to improve the beauty of something, especially since it is against the backdrop of Libra, which is ruled by Venus and taps into that quality of beauty and aesthetics. We still have Mars in Scorpio. and that's going to be until November 4th. So this is a great time to look at anything where you need to be more focused. Excuse me, I'm just grabbing my fan. Got a little warm in the room here. But Mars in Scorpio is a great time for focusing on those bigger projects, things that you really need more focus for, more intensity for. Mars, that ability, to really be focused, passionate, driven. Scorpio can bring intense energy and focus. Mars is at home in Scorpio. And so anything where you feel like you really need like a big push, big focus, this is a great use of that energy. And I'm going to be using that from some other stuff that I'm working on in the back end that I'm hoping to be able to roll out before the end of the year. Might need to take until next year, but we're going to see how it goes. But I'm really going to set my schedule up so that I have time, deep focus, 1 or 2 hours a day on certain things. And I would invite you to do the same especially when Mars is in Scorpio, during that transit. If I don't know if there's a new system you've been looking to implement, for example, maybe there's a new launch you want to do at the end of the year or early next year, mapping out the details. Mars in Scorpio is a great use of that particular energy. It could really help you with that sort of thing. But just make sure that you're not distracted by the noise. Give yourself permission to really channel your inner fire into whatever project or system or transformation that you're working towards. Particular business items you might want to look at, maybe setting up your automations, launch a low ticket offer. You could audit your back end, basically do the scary but soulful thing. And just a reminder, we have Pluto in retrograde, and we also have Uranus in retrograde in Gemini. That happens September 6th. It's going to be in retrograde until February 3rd. So you have unexpected ideas that may resurface during this time. Tech issues might come to the surface since Uranus can affect technology. It may be interesting to see what happens in the collective during this transit as well. This could be a great time to reconnect with tools that you used in the past that you maybe want to go back to. I, for one, am looking at a new CRM for helping me out with my email newsletter. And anything that's going to help you have a new expression, this could be a good use of that energy as well. We also want to be mindful, too, that we still have Neptune and Saturn both in retrograde. So Neptune, our ability to imagine, our spirituality, our ability to vision. And then Saturn wants to bring in structure, boundaries, create a container for us to really create what we want to do, manifest effectively. Excuse me. So with that energy, use that time to maybe do some inner work. Look at your energy, your spiritual practices, your journaling. What are you using to refuel? Return to center. What are you using to help you do that sort of thing? And we're also still moving towards that great conjunction with Saturn and Neptune, which is going to be happening in early February as well. So energy is going to be building as we move towards the end of the year. And just in general, the end of the year is always more intense. The holiday seasons are about to descend upon us. People are going to get busier, getting ready for all their year-end wrap-up activities. And I do think that energy of Saturn and Neptune in retrograde is going to intensify that. So be aware of that. Just be mindful of that. And I'm going to continue to remind people of that as I talk about these issues on the channel for the rest of the year. So just want to remind you of that. Pluto is currently retrograde, but it will be moving direct October 13th. And since Pluto is an outer planet and it's got such a big impact on the collective overall, we may be beginning to feel that transition in the first couple of weeks of October. So this is why I'm bringing it up now. We may notice the shift in the energy in the air next week. It'll be interesting to see what happens on the world stage as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some major developments that happen as a result of Pluto about to move direct. That's just my own intuition. And it's another good opportunity to look at where you have your own sense of personal power. Pluto can often be about, it's thought of it as one of the forces of destruction in astrology, because usually when a serious Pluto transit occurs in your chart or happens on the collective, it always leads to major transformation or upheaval. But it's usually for what isn't sustainable, what isn't really working. And so we may see things either in our personal lives or on the collective world stage where there's more breakdowns, more disruptions around the time in particular that Pluto is about to station direct. We're probably going to get another layer of how things are not working. And that happens because it's an invitation for us to transform it, to fix it, to make it better. So if that does happen, say in the first half of October for you, either personally or on the world stage, be mindful that I personally believe that that is the intention behind it. I think the universe is always setting us up to improve, to become better, and to grow as a species, as human beings, to help us become better versions of ourselves so that we can ultimately create a better world for ourselves and the generations that come after us. So I think some of that's probably going to come to the surface in that first half of October. And especially since we're coming off eclipse season, the equinox, it just feels like major transformation is in the air. And I think that's only going to continue to pick up as the year moves on. But that's basically what I had to say. Just wanted to come in, check in, give you the astrological weather for the week. Hope all is well. Hope you are taking care of yourself. Hopefully you are doing all the good things that you need to do for yourself, eating well, staying hydrated, getting quality rest, spending good time with loved ones, taking care of yourselves, continuing to do that necessary shadow work, working with the therapists, the healers, the energy workers, managing the stress and the challenges that we all have to grapple with as we move through our days. And at the end of the day, all of that, I feel, is really about living a better life. And I'm hoping you're giving yourself permission to live your life to the fullest and to enjoy it as much as you can. I'm wishing you much love, much peace, much joy. Easefully yours, Darice.